All right, opening statement. Motion to return to public session?
Move.
Roll call?
Mr. Reddy?
Here virtually.
Mrs. DeSillo?
Here.
Mr. Mann?
Here.
Mr. Buckley?
Here in person.
Mr. Philibecci?
Here.
Mr. Kim?
Here.
Mrs. LaPresti?
Here.
Mr. Demari?
Here. Opening statement is set forth in item G. Opening statement on the agenda and board policy. The board welcomes public participation. There are two opportunities for the public to speak. The first is at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second is at the end of the meeting for other items. Please state your name and address when making a public statement. Let's please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We've got no presentations. We've got no student reps. We've got the report of the superintendent, though. Dr. Cascone.
Thank you, President Demari. Summer's flying by. We're past the midpoint, and while it's maybe the lazy days of summer for many, it's been super busy here in the district, as it always is. Want to give a shout out to our buildings and ground staff, maintenance, for the Herculean efforts in which they engage every summer to turn these buildings around. Every classroom turned upside down, on top of a myriad of other projects. We don't have any super large projects happening in district this summer, but there are a number of smaller ones. So I just want to thank them for that, and their hard work, particularly in some of these hot days. Our high school athletic teams are gosh, they're getting after it already, and they have been for a number of weeks now, in advance of the official training camp that comes, towards the end of August. I think it's a couple weeks from now. They start up mid-August. And so always just have a tremendous sense of appreciation and respect for our student athletes and our coaches, out there grinding during the summer in the heat, getting ready for the fall season. Obviously excited for that. Of course, you've noticed the Crawford Corner Road Improvement Project. Our Director of Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Stromslin, has been sort of serving as liaison, not only to the township administration, but also with the contractors. And all we hear is that project is on target for completion by the end of August, at least, the first phases of it. We look forward to seeing how that can mitigate some of the traffic concerns. That said, I have spoken with Chief Alaco and sat down with him. We're going to continue to monitor that, and if we need additional support from local law enforcement, at least in the beginning of the year, we can count on that. And of course, appreciate the chief and our partners in Homedale Police Department. Over the summer, our administrative team meets weekly for leadership roundtables for a number of things, but it's really just in order that as we sort of are scattered during the summer vacations, things of that nature, that we're coming together once a week to connect and continue sort of a continuous thread of our planning over the course of the summer. And one of the main things we're doing is really unpacking a lot of our data from the strategic plan, data triangle survey, really to use that to guide the drafting of our district goals. When I got here, our setting of district goals was fairly inconsistent, but that's critical on an annual basis to set our goals. Board members, you can expect that in August, we'll move forward at the August committee of the whole. We'll move forward those draft goals for your review, because they ultimately would be up for board approval at the end of August. Talking a little bit about fiscal planning. So different from really any year that I've served as a superintendent, we've already begun conversations and forecasting and planning for the 26-27 budget. I want to thank Vice President LaPresti, who's chair of the Business and Finance Committee, and the members of that committee for convening during the summer. We'll be meeting once again during the summer. We understand that with the challenges that we're managing fiscally, really looking at a minimum of a $2.4 million shortfall going into the upcoming fiscal year, we have to start our planning much sooner. So really understanding what are we going to do to try and realize savings to recoup that revenue. Now that $2.4 million deficit is predicated on a prediction of our healthcare costs. But of course, if you've been paying attention to the news, the projected increases in healthcare costs they're just literally unbelievable when you see the numbers, 36%. I mean, it's outrageous. What you'll see on tonight's agenda is that we are approving a new benefits broker of record. And we're optimistic that with a new partner, that they'll be able to come up with some outside of the box ideas that can help at least keep our costs relatively stable. Because if we're dealing with a 36% increase, that $2.4 million deficit is going to go up significantly. I mention it because I think, and you'll know and notice that the board and the administration are going to continue to talk about the budget regularly, continue to provide information to the community regularly, so that it's not, any surprise when we get to that budget season of what we need to do. And there may very well be points in time over the course of the next 4 or 5 months where we're soliciting input from the community as to, what is the will of the community, right? It kind of presented with choices like we can include this, but if we include that, then it means, because it really is simply, and it has been for some time in public education, stealing from Peter to pay Paul. That is what it is, always, because we start with a deficit every year, and that's not unique to Homedale. It's pretty much statewide. And obviously, we'll continue to keep the community informed on that. I just want to address another piece. We've been communicating with a number of members of the community with regard to a recent change in the junior parking rules, if you will, at the high school. I think it's important to realize that that this has been a problem now for a number of years. I don't know off the top of my head how long the rotating block schedule has been in place at the high school. It's at least, certainly predates me, and I think it's at least, Ms. Colleen, do you know offhand, 6 years, 7 years?
6 or 7, Scott.
6 or 7 years. Yeah. And so why was that relevant? Well, one of the things that came with that and the collective bargaining agreement changes that came with that was something known as the flex period. The flex period is that teachers within the teacher contract have a preparatory period and a professional period. And under the contract, teachers have to receive those 2 periods daily. By quirk of schedule, there are times when they're not able to get one of those two planning periods. And when that happens, they are entitled to flex. And what that means is they can come in late, and they can come in a period late. In some cases, they can leave a period early. Why is that relevant? Well, when teachers were arriving at one time, typically they were arriving before students, and so there were really no open spots. And so there really wasn't a danger of students parking in faculty spots. But that is exactly what's been occurring over the course of the last 6 or 7 years, and which has really become exacerbated within the last couple of years. For whatever reason, prior administrations were comfortable with continuing to expend countless hours of time policing the parking lot, addressing student violations, addressing grievances from faculty members who were understandably upset that they came to work and had their parking spot parked in, that seniors who had that privilege were having their spots parked in by juniors. And it was becoming unmanageable. I think it's important to know the numbers. And Mr. Zadisco, I see you here tonight, and I thank you for coming. We got your most recent email with the numbers. We will be in touch with you tomorrow and cross-referencing with our numbers. But just some high-level numbers that I just want to share with the community. So we have, if you bear with me just one moment here. So there are 235 available student parking spots in the high school lot. There are 234 seniors, that are eligible for parking privileges. So you can see if we're just looking at the spots in the high school lot that are designated, obviously that's almost a 1-to-1 ratio in spots. There are 88 spots in the high school parking lot for staff. Notably, there are 153 staff members at the high school. And so you might be asking yourself, well, where do the other 70 park? Well, the other 70 some odd faculty members park in the SATS lot. They might park on the back side of the building. So we are really utilizing virtual, and 14 spots for visitors, and award / raffle winners and 8 handicap spots. So when you add 238 with 88, 14, and 8, we are essentially at capacity. And it's very difficult to predict, right? Because juniors are getting licenses on a rolling basis. And obviously that accelerates towards the end of the year when the problem really becomes exacerbated as you have, who knows, 30, 40, 50 juniors that might be trying to park there. It doesn't escape Dr. Harretts or myself that, it's never, we understand that this may have taken people by surprise. Dr. Harretts has been in the building for a year. He's been evaluating the operations. The school year ended, and this has been part of our summer planning. We understand that, that it can be an inconvenience for parents. I mean, it's not to say that we're not open to moving forward other ideas, but for this year, there just aren't really many other ideas at our disposal. There's been some suggestions about, can we reclaim certain space? We have some grassy areas. Certainly that could be considered, right? We have that grassy area. Oh, that's the one over by Rogie. But both of those fields I see regularly used by our athletic teams. Typically our sub-varsity, I see our sub-varsity football team there. I see our HFA teams there. I see our the Homedale Town cheerleading programs there. Like all those grass spaces are really used. But even if we were to say, you know what, we're going to do that, obviously commissioning our engineers of record, the cost associated with that, I'm going to throw a dart and say it's anywhere between $70,000 and $100,000 to create a new parking lot. And that's coming out of capital reserve fund that's already been depleted, but just to balance budgets, and is really there. Mrs. Donnelly, do you know off the top of your head, and if you don't, you don't throw a dart, but do you know off the top of your head going into next year what our capital reserve is?
I think it's 1.3 million right now.
1.3 million cap reserve. But these are, you have a mold remediation. You have a roof that fails catastrophically. You have a chiller which fails catastrophically, like the one at Indian Hill, which costs us approximately $800,000 to replace. We have to be very judicious in the way that we're spending those capital reserve funds. This can continue to be a dialogue. I see some folks, obviously, Ms. Paulino, here in the audience, and certainly, willing to hear feedback and ideas. But as I wrote in an email to a parent today, I said, listen, I think I've shown, this administration, this board has shown over the last 3.5 years that we are very open to community feedback. And there have been a number of occasions where we've modified initiatives or even just put a pause on initiatives when we receive feedback from the community. They're like, yeah, you know what? That's a very fair point, and we can pause it or we can modify it. I think this is a challenge because when we think about what that would look like to A, pause, or B, modify, we're just not really coming up with any options. So we're certainly open to ideas, but I just wanted to address that publicly and share some of those numbers publicly. And Mr. President, I'm sure you'll very grateful that that is my report, which I'm submitting into the record.
Bless you. Thank you. Thanks for explaining that all. And I appreciate all the emails. For everybody who emailed, the board did receive them, just to let everybody know. And I think it's good engagement. I think it's great to hear from everybody, to understand their perspective and try to figure this out. So thanks for providing those numbers. I'm sure we'll be talking about the parking later during this meeting. And in regard to the budget, just the challenges we're up against that Dr. Cascone was explaining is unfortunate, because we're here, trying to take on this $2.4 million deficit. And then, you read in the news that the benefits are going to go up 35%. And you're just like, how are we going to figure this out? And it almost seems like our elected officials have put a playbook in place to see public schools fail financially, because that's what's going on in the state. And it's incredible that they're not taking action to try to provide more aid and help our public schools out, especially when so many districts' kids are failing on a reading and math level. It's just really unfortunate what's going on. So hopefully they can figure that out. I appreciate Vice President LaPresti's work and the budgeting committee work for working during the summer and trying to tackle these numbers as soon as possible. But there's definitely going to be difficult decisions. There's only one way to come up with 2.4 million, and things are going to get cut, and it's just inevitable. So hopefully we can figure out the right decisions as a community, and we'll continue to talk about that. So does anybody have any comments for Dr. Cascone on any of that right now? Okay. The harassment and intimidation report, bullying?
There is actually no report tonight. This evening.
Okay, no report. Questions or comments from the public on action items only right now? It's only the action items. Anybody on action items?
Chris,
Yes.
one
Ye-
thing, Scott, I was just gonna say when we did the referendum things, and we could circle back with Greg Hawk and Spiesel. I believe one of the things that was suggested, or not suggested, but to look into, it was Village and Hill putting in more parking, and obviously it was going to be getting rid of some of the grass.
We're having
Can I
trouble
have
hearing
some
you,
of that
but
information in the business office?
is he,
What's that? This way.
are you saying that's something in the referendum regarding parking? We're having trouble hearing you.
We looked into it at the three schools, not the high school. Reducing some of the grass areas to create extra parking spots. I'm just saying that information might be available or should be available back in the referendum planning days. So
So this has been a conversation for quite a while.
it was at least no, hey, we're up against it depending on the size of the graduating class. It just
Okay.
we did have to know.
All right. Thanks, Pete.
No problem.
All right. All right. Let's go to action items. We are polling number 67, so we'll be voting on number 1 through 66, and then 68 through
69.
69. Okay.
Move.
Roll call.
Move.
Motion.
Move.
Second.
Roll call. Any discussion on those? John, you have your mic on? Okay. Thank you. No discussion. Pete,
Mr. Reddy?
Yes. Yes.
thank you.
Mrs. DeSillo?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mr. Lepecci?
Going to recuse myself from 50 and yes to the rest.
Mr. Kim?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopresti?
Yes.
Mr. Damari?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. LaPressa, can you read 67, please?
Perfect. Acceptance of monetary donation from Village Parent School Association, that the board accept with gratitude a monetary donation from Village Parent School Association in the amount of $54,505 to help fund the Village School Playground Project. Account 9509910061000000026 VSP.
Is that last part necessary?
I don't know. I just read it.
All right. Motion?
Move. Second. Oh, I can't.
Roll call?
Mr. Reddy? Mr. Reddy?
Yes. Sorry.
It's for an HYA donation.
PSA.
A PSA.
Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. DeSillo?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mann?
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Lepecci?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Kim?
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Lopresti?
Yes, thank you so much.
Mrs. Damari?
Yes, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you, PSA.
And thank you. That makes my job a little bit easier.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. I lost my place here. Old business? Anthony, you have old business? All right.
I wouldn't call it old business. I'd call it exciting business. So I want to give everybody an update on the Parent Square initiative that has. So let me just read this. So the July 1st transfer to Parent Square was completed. The district is now utilizing Parent Square website platform, smart sites, and you may have noticed that the district website has been updated accordingly. Special thanks to our district webmaster, Carlos Mercado, for the countless hours he devoted to that. And that he continues to devote to ensure that content is properly transferred and remains current. So thank you again. Continuing to make refinements throughout the summer in preparation for the start of the school year. You'll notice that the district and the school homepages now feature original videos created from existing district content. These videos are still being expanded at the school level. Thank you, Homedale High School's TV production teacher, Brian Swider. Is it Swider or Swider? Swider, for his efforts in editing and producing the video content. You should now be receiving emails and notifications through the Parent Square platform. Over the summer, administrators have received training on the platform and are preparing to provide additional training to faculty and staff during our opening professional learning day. Earlier this summer, Director of Technology Stephen Lelevitt sent an activation email to all parents. So please note that the parents must activate their accounts to access certain features of the platform, such as sign up forms and confidential or secure documents. Currently, 35% of parents have activated their accounts. So we got some work to do with getting that up to 100% because you all have to have it and will need it. If you have not yet done so, you can expect another activation email tomorrow and again before the start of school. You must complete this process to gain full access to the platform. The platform metrics show that nearly all of our parents and guardians are now reachable via Parent Square, meaning they can receive updates, notifications, although the account activation is still required to engage with certain features. So really, really important that everybody knows that we need to sign up for this. Of particular note is the development of the customized white labeled Homedale Parent Square app. Okay. To date, only 17% of parents have downloaded the app, and we strongly recommend doing so as it offers the highest level of convenience, enabling you to receive all district alerts, updates, and notifications in one central location. So, I mean, I think the moral of the story here is that the app is the way, okay? All the stuff that we've been wanting to do and talking about with regarding communication and being able to get everything in one place is now here, and that's with Parent Square. And the ease of your iPhone or whatever mobile device you use, you have an app to just touch, and you're going to see information from whatever school your child is in. So if you have children in multiple schools, you're going to see multiple school information as to what's going on a daily basis. And we're going to be able to give you as much information as you want or don't want. So really, really important that you spread the word and get out there and sign up for Parent Square and download the app.
Thank you, Mr. Lebecci, and leading the BOE efforts on that and all the help, Carlos. And the website was updated as well. So it's great to see the district modernizing from a branding standpoint, and the website's more vibrant and got some more energy. I think it's helping us level up our brand here as a top performing district. A lot of great pictures and stuff, get you moving. I'm just throwing something out there for all business. We've spoken about this before, just kind of a reminder, the students, many of our students of ours are on these e-bikes and what? And I just wanted to put it out there. If this could even help one student, like please parents, make sure your child's wearing a helmet and they understand the rules of the road. I mean, it's every day now. There's a clip on social media throughout New Jersey of kids on e-bikes getting clipped by cars. It's really scary. Kids are getting really hurt. I think the law will at some point catch up where they're going to require a license for these e-bikes going over 30 miles per hour. I cringe every time I see these kids around town. So if this could help out even one of our students, just please parents, make sure the kids, I mean, you got 13-year-old kids, they just don't understand how to operate on the road. And it's, I just don't want to see anybody get hurt. So I want to continue to put that out there. Any new business? Kim?
I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to Casey Rizzatello in guidance. So first I would, part of that working with the supervisor of English last year, we've talked a lot about growing and updating our timelines when it comes to college prep for our students. And so for the first time at the end of last year, the assignment of working on the Common App essay started junior year rather than senior year, because now applications start and they open August 1st. And so Casey has put together a college boot camp. It's on Monday, August 4th, which is my shout out to her. It's from 12 to 2 on Monday here. So I think it's, for anyone that's about to be a senior, this is, the chance. So I hope a bunch of people come because you did have to sign up and it's in our app. All the notifications came into that app. So
Only 35% signed up. So how do we make sure that it's,
just went an email,
okay.
but I think
It
everything
is
that's
some
coming
time,
through
so.
the app is also coming through email. So you're
Okay.
not losing anybody, but, it's something great that the department, is doing. So that's it.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Rizzatello. Any other new business? Okay. Questions or comments from the public? Who's going first? Mr. Tedisco.
First and only time I'll ever.
I was
say
told
that.
we're supposed to be professional at these
Yeah.
meetings.
And thank you, Dr.
Oh,
Cascone.
we need your name and
Sorry,
address.
Joe Tedisco, 29 Eli Road in Homedale. And I want to thank Dr. Cascone for addressing the parking issue up front. So I'm not going to be long. Obviously, I sent a couple of emails to the school. As a parent of a junior, right, this comes as somewhat of a surprise. I think I sympathize with the school and the problem that you're trying to solve. I probably think there's other ways to solve it. Granted, I did take an inventory of parking spaces that I provided the school. Admittedly, did it from an aerial shot of the school, so may not have exact same information that you folks have. Happy to connect tomorrow offline, Dr. Cascone, if that's what you prefer. I would ask the school board and the administration to consider utilizing spare capacity on the SAT side of the building. I think there's a lot of it. By my calculation, there's double the number of spaces as there are admin and staff in the school. I don't think it's acceptable that students would be parking in teacher and administrative spots. I get that the school doesn't want to police that, but I would say that it should be disciplined harshly and strictly, and students that do that or do that more than once are suspended from school, right? I think I would address it as a strict disciplinary measure. I think that this policy, though, is likely to lead to other disciplinary measures because you are going to get juniors. And as much as I think I have control of my son, when his friend doesn't pick him up and he jumps in his car and drives to school, I mean, could have parked on Crawford's Corner Road, right? And walking to school. But yeah, I would just encourage the administration to take another look at this and perhaps find a different solution. And I don't think creating a new parking lot is realistic. I'm not asking the school to spend $75,000 and pave over the tennis court. So thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe, for coming in your comments. Please.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Paulino, 262 South Holland Road. I just want to thank everyone for your time and attention to this matter. Having volunteered in this community for many years, I understand how much work goes behind the scenes, and that is often, most of the time, a thankless job. I've already shared my thoughts via email, so I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. I'm just asking the board to please consider speaking to administration about the recent change to the junior parking policy at Homedale High School. This is a major shift from the decades-long practice, and it places an unnecessary burden on families, especially since the student population hasn't significantly changed, and traffic congestion seems more about scheduling than parking. Every time I visited the school, there has been ample parking available, including during times when juniors were allowed to drive. Oh, someone texted me, sorry. Realistically, not every senior will drive or own their own car. The school lot will never be at 100% capacity with both staff and students present. Before limiting juniors, I believe more practical solutions should be explored and be discussed with the board. In the interest of fairness, I believe this policy would be more appropriately implemented, starting with the incoming freshman class, while allowing the current students to be grandfathered in. These students have grown up expecting the same privileges that their upperclassmen received, and it seems unfair to revoke that opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I
Thank you,
also
Mr.
just want to.
Polino.
What was that?
I said thank you.
John, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just a question in terms of, is there an accounting process that goes on to determine how many seniors actually drive? Like, is there a permit it's, you know, it's been a while since I've been here, but is there like a permit process you have to go through and that gives you that accounting that you explained earlier?
There is, Mr. Buckley. Yeah. So any seniors who intend to park on campus have to, there's a contract that goes home. They have to provide certain information and then license plate, et cetera. So they're a registered parker, if you will, registered student parker. Yeah.
So before we call it the next one, I do want to make clear to the community that decisions like this, like the board is here to kind of oversee what's going on, but we don't make these decisions. So the board, administration decisions like this, just to be clear, so because some of the emails that came in, I kind of feel like people don't recognize the board's role in this. This isn't something that was voted on or would be voted on. We can certainly speak with administration, which we have been having conversations already and taking in feedback, but it's kind of no different than the community speaking with administration as well. So we're kind of all talking together, but I do want the community to kind of understand how it all operates overall.
Yeah, I would add one qualification to that, Mr. President. So there is a board policy that relates to student parking. Our board policy does not, it's silent on grade, right? So in other words, this longstanding practice, which is in place for juniors and seniors, is not codified in the form of board policy. Now, may or may not be aware that we are in the process of revising our entire policy manual and converting the Strauss-Esme to NJ School Board. So this is a policy that we're going to look at. So technically, there is a board policy for it, just the board policy that has existed in this district is not aligned with what has been the practice. So in terms of this decision being a violation of board policy, technically it's not, because the present board policy. So I know that's like a slight qualification to what you've said. But yeah, so just
I guess the timing's right too, since we've got the policy committee, Mr. Mann as chair, maybe jot that one down and bring it up for discussions.
So I just want to say I think I might be the only person here that actually has a high schooler that has driven here to Homedale High School. So my daughter is a rising senior. So last year she got her license in the spring, and I did get numerous phone calls that, like, there's no spots. Where should I park? Handicap or staff? I'm like, well, not handicap because that's illegal. And then, I think most of the time she would do some laps and then eventually something would open up or whatever. But so I'm just saying from personal, most of the time wasn't an issue, but there were, at least 5 from, she only got her license April 29th. So at least 5 phone calls from my daughter where she was like, I don't have a spot. And so, and I know she wasn't the only one. So, and I definitely know, one of my neighbors, we were talking about it, the neighbor's daughter religiously was parking in a staff spot, and joked about it at the beach, last week, when this policy came out, when they read,
That's going to be a suspension in Mr. Tedisco's book.
I'm not, but so I'm just saying, so I understand it because my daughter lived it. So, I mean, I'm going to support whatever the administration, and I still have 2 more to come through. So it's not like, I have another high schooler and then another one that's, in 6th, but, so it will affect me, but, I'll support whatever administration needs to do.
Yeah, and I think we recognize that the spots are limited. I think it's more, could we find more spots maybe?
Just to take Mr. Tedisco's point a step further, I didn't count the spots, but if you look at the current Google Earth aerial view of the school, obviously the lot out here is full. I don't know what day it was taken. It looks like it was an in-school day, given the number of cars out front, but the lot in front of the SATS lot is about 50% occupied. The lot on the far side is even less occupied from a capacity perspective. Is it possible to have students from here now park in front of SATS and have the SATS teachers wrap around the other side? Is that feasible?
It's a good question. And, I never cease to be amazed the impact of when you actually see people face to face, coming, advocating. Of course, we've responded to emails. And what I've always said is if I feel as if we've turned over every stone, then I'll stand here and tell you we've turned over every stone and there's nothing more I can do for you. I'm not sure that I can confidently say that right now. There's a few things that I want to take a look at. I want to understand first. Now, we may not necessarily be able to do a course correct for the beginning of the school year, because I think one of the things I want to look at is do all of our 234 seniors, will all of them actually drive and submit a permit to park on campus? That's a question I want to answer. When we look at our juniors, how many juniors are eligible for receiving their license over the course of the school year? So how many junior drivers are we really, how many additional spots are we really talking about? Second. And third is really taking a close look at some of these at the side lots and whatnot. I think my knee-jerk reaction to the side lots and SATs is that it could create safety issues because, you know, when we're departing, when dismissal time, there's a lot going on the side of that school. You know, kids are crossing the street to get, we have buses, we have parents picking up, there's cars that are egressing around from the high school side. But I think that there are some stones we can turn over and see if there's some possibilities, because I always hate to just listen, we're here to serve the community, right? So, and it's always our goal that we're operating at a high level of satisfaction. And I feel like we have some other questions we can ask and things we can look at. So Vice President Lopresti?
Is there a deadline for which seniors have to submit that application? So, you know,
Good question.
if there is one, okay, if there is not one, maybe we put it on and then after that, it's like, you're out, then you go to the back of the list. Again, just, you know, kind of
Yeah, I mean,
ideas out there that, you know, kind of then you backfill.
right. Or, you know, are there students that we can confidently conclude by virtue of their direct feedback that they have no intention of driving a car to school, ever, right? So, and you know, these are the kinds of questions, and you know what, listen, this is the value of the dialogue, right? We don't have all the answers. And sometimes our community members, you know, just through their advocacy, you know, lead us to kind of think a bit more. And I think we have the time to do that, right? Because it's not as if this has to be resolved. Because I'm not sure exactly, you know, there can't be too many juniors that are, you know, that are going to be 17 as of like the first weeks of school. It's probably pretty limited, right? But I think we need to know the answer to that. What's the number we're looking at, right? Because that's really the number that we have to be considering in terms of additional spots to accommodate. So I appreciate the feedback. We're going to get back to work for you and see if we can come up with a solution. I can't promise you that we will, but I promise you that we will turn over every stone we can to figure it out.
I just think that like just long term, the problem is that by the end of the year,
Yep.
every junior is driving 99% because.
Is that right?
Well,
Yeah. Well,
I
you still have July and August.
Well, I mean, but like
Yeah,
most
that's
of
true,
them are
most of them are,
driving, and
yeah.
so you're doubling, you would need double the amount of spots.
Right.
So, and then is that, I'm just gonna, like, you know, my daughter who's April 29th, now they're full, like, you know, you fill up by all the November birthdays because that's what you have left, and then everybody, you know, like, I don't know.
Shortchanged essentially.
Yeah, unless you can double the amount of spots and have a space for everybody. You know, unless, like I said, I had mentioned like doing like, you know, let's say you can find 25 spots and every month eligible drivers put in a raffle and 25 spots get raffled off every month. So it's a different 25 juniors.
Yeah.
It'd be a
No,
great
but-
fundraiser if we start charging for the spots, whoever wants to pay the
Well,
most.
have we ever charged?
Ooh, maybe this.
Or
this
that
could be a
would, that would
fundraiser.
be, inclusive. Or
We can
that would
use
be
that
equitable.
budget
$4
now.
million
Learn that
deficit
word,
right there.
There we go.
Be
Listen,
equitable.
that parking vinyl
Parking.
sticker
Yep.
or
So,
tag costs a certain amount.
Have we ever used the Duncan Smith, the grass there? I see sometimes, is that only during theater times they use that area? Or have we used that for overflow for graduation or anything like that?
I mean, actually on the grass?
On the grass, yeah.
we'll have donuts being done and
I just, 'cause
Yeah.
I've seen people park there, so I'm just wondering if we've ever used it for school.
We have not. We have not. Yeah. But so, appreciate it. We got a little more work to do. You know, it's good to have the feedback, and at least then the next time we're talking about it, you know, we either have the solution you're looking for, or at least I can sit here confidently and say we've looked at every angle and this
Yeah.
is the best we can do. So thank
Well,
you.
I do want to note that as a board member, I appreciate Dr. Cascone and Dr. Herritz on this particular situation, response to every email that comes in. And that's definitely not typical in every school district. So we do appreciate that you're taking in this feedback. Also thinking about a lot of conversations we talk about, because parking is a privilege, and we do talk about consequences in HIBs or bullying or whatever. I mean, that could be a consequence. You lose your parking spot. You know, it would straighten out some kids that are getting into trouble, or they lose their spot and give it to a child who's behaving. It's a thought. You know, because there needs to be more consequences, and we've discussed this many times at board meetings. Just throwing that out there. Yes, please.
Mike Pohl, 20 Mount Drive. So first of all, thank you very much for the service you provide the town. This is my first board meeting, so I can imagine this is a lot of work, and I do appreciate it. Dr. Cascone, I appreciate the work you do. And yes, Dr. Herritz did respond to my email in a day on this issue. I won't pile on to the other speakers. I'll just add what I think hasn't been brought up. The first item is, I heard what you said, ma'am. So my wife attended the senior breakfast, which comes at the end of the year. And we spoke about that in advance of me coming here tonight. And she said, absolutely, the place was a little bit full, but she said there were spots. And exactly where you gentlemen said they were. They're over on the SAT side. And I think, and I looked at the same Google Earth imagery that you guys are mentioning. There's a lot of spots over there. Dr. Cascone, I heard what you said about the safety issue of people parking over there. I get that. The only thing I would say is my son's going to be a junior this year, and I don't want to pick losers and winners in the safety piece of this. And what I don't think the board has considered is the inevitable result of this rule. So first of all, there's going to be a ton of people, as this gentleman said, that just violate it. They're parking all over the place. The school's going crazy, pulling out their hair, giving out suspensions. But anyone that's familiar with where this school is located knows there's a ton of off-campus locations that are not ideal that these kids are going to be parking in. They're going to be in the Turnpike Authority lot. They're going to be in the township lots. They're going to be on side streets. It's going to be a mess, and it's going to be way less safe than having these kids on campus. Thank you.
It's a valid point. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Any comments on that? All right. Anybody else want to speak? All right. I appreciate everybody showing up. Dr. Cascone, did you want to say anything else, or you kind of just want to put that out there? Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Cascone and the administration team are going to look into this further and see what we can come up with. So I appreciate everybody coming. And that pretty much ends everything, unless you guys want to do another executive session. That was the one before. Okay. Adjournment.
Move.
All aye. Second. All right. Aye. All in favor. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming and engaging.
All.